46th day of school, and I believe this is our third SAC meeting, right? So we've had a lot of things going on. Let's talk about attendance. Last month, our 6th and 7th graders both reached 95% attendance, so they were rewarded with a cookie party at the cafeteria last week. And our 8th graders were just shy. They were less than 0.5% away from the goal of 95%. However, they did start off the first week in October with the best average daily attendance. So, and then they followed it up with the third best attendance in there. So all three of our groups right now going through October 1st through the 16th are within about 0.5% overall of the 95% rule. So this Friday we will celebrate with perfect attendance for the first 9 weeks, of which SAC did sponsor that. And we have 135 6th graders, 119 7th graders, and 117 8th graders that had perfect attendance for, so that's about over 30% of our student body that had perfect attendance, not an absent, not a missed period. One missed period, they didn't qualify. So those are some pretty great numbers, and we have 94 pizzas coming on Friday.
Wow.
To celebrate with that. So, three things that we've done along with SAC were the, sponsoring cookies every month for the grade level at lunch that earns the 95% to average daily attendance, the back to school dance, as well as the perfect attendance party for the first 9 weeks. And the fourth, part that's been a good part of that, I think, has been the students' progress monitoring tool that we do once a week in the classrooms, and some of the teachers might want to speak to that. It was something that we started that with the students just looking in focus and keeping track on a weekly basis of what their grades were and what their attendance was in each one of their grades, and then they could have some conversations of themselves. What do I do to improve my attendance? What did I meet my goal? Do I want to do better next week? What can I do to do better, next week? And so it's now become, one of we just had a request from the attendance officer that serves our school, and he serves the other 3 middle schools, and he was asking Mr. Giordano just today, what is it that we are doing at our school? Because what he notices is when our kids are out, they return back to school. So if you're out one day, the kids are coming back to school on Tuesday. They're not seeing out 1, 2, 3, and 4 days, that as soon as they miss a day that they're there. And I know we've had a lot of teacher phone calls and a lot of phone calls from Mr. Giordano going home. When we get to extra ones, MTSS has been working with them. So I think it's somewhat that outreach program, but also I think with the students monitoring their daily attendance now, and it's quite up front. I mentioned it probably at least a minimum of once a week in the cafeteria with all the students talking about attendance. We address their attention over to the board and tell them this is what our goal is and what we want to do and why attendance every day is important. So thank you to SAC for sponsoring that. That was the first one. I'm trying to think. We held our first parent conference night, and that went over fairly well, and the teachers not only did they meet with parents, but when they didn't have meetings, they were on the phone calling parents of students who were struggling. And those who mainly we identified any students with D's or F's would get a phone call from their teachers to, discuss what they could do to be of help for that. Trying to think. Our unit assessment data is coming out. Every subject area is taking tests every at the end of the units, and it could be a 4, 6, 8 week unit that comes to play. And out of the 13 areas that we were tested the first time, our school led the district in 7 of those 13 areas, which is really good. So we're very happy with a lot of the progress our kids are making, and I think a lot of it is they're coming to school and and they're able to get the great teaching that our teachers prepare for every day. So that's been another positive I think thing this so far in this first 9 weeks, as we just kind of wrap up the 45 days. Teachers, what else am I missing that we've done? That's so many things.
Volleyball and soccer are wrapping up.
Yep, volleyball and soccer is wrapping up. And
Soccer undefeated?
soccer's undefeated right now, and volleyball has their tournament this Saturday down at the Intergenerational Complex in Oslo Road.
Oh,
That's all day on Saturday, and soccer starts their tournament next week.
Should go. Yeah, I had no idea. Yeah, get that on your
It just came, I just saw the email today.
Oh,
They just,
okay,
Mr.
cool.
Johnson from the AD down at Oslo was organizing the
Oh, I'm so
volleyball
glad.
tournament, so he just put that out, so,
It's on Saturday?
yes,
The volleyball.
yes.
Right.
This Saturday.
In my house.
This Saturday, the
Yeah,
20th.
go.
So,
Casual
Spirit
third class.
Week.
Spirit Week was awesome. We had 6 teachers, and then they forced one person to get pied in the face.
I wonder who that was.
You know, and I've been to a lot of pep rallies, and I know Dr. Patton said she's been to a lot of pep rallies too, and I was rather impressed with the.
That was the best pep rally
Out,
I've ever seen,
yeah.
and I've been doing that over 30 years. It
Mhm.
was awesome.
Those kids were.
A little loud, but you know, it was awesome.
Well, pep rallies should be
Pep
loud,
rallies.
right? They should.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
expected.
I can tell you, one of my first pep rallies, I walked in, and the next thing I did the next day is we got everybody together and said, okay, the next pep rally, we have to be different, we have to be better organized, we have to have things planned, there has to be ways that, it's gotta be loud in there. We have to have a speaker system that kids can hear and do things, and our student council put that together, and, you know, 2 new student council sponsors, Mrs. White and Mr. Rocco, and then along with
It
Ms.
was
Walker.
awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, you know,
She's a
kind
great
of
MC.
orchestrated day. So we had, I mean, we kept 1,000 or 937 students in the gymnasium for 45 minutes. And they were.
It was awesome.
It was great, and then they walked out, and kids enjoyed it. They
Yeah.
were asking, are we gonna have another one? So I was like, well, we'll see how this one goes. And they did exactly what they should do, be excited and be a part of it, and that was fun. And, you know, the kids dressing up during the week, and staff that dressed up with the students during the week too. That was a nice connection building time, I think, with the kids, so that was fun to see that going on.
Oh, the kids went bowling?
Mm-hmm.
Who did the
Principal's
principal's challenge?
Yeah, 164 kids went bowling, and that was fun. So, and our choir had their first concert down at First Baptist Church. It was phenomenal. Great to hear all the kids got to sing a couple of songs each, and they did it in conjunction with the Charter High School's choir. So they got to see some high school kids perform as well, which is neat. They can see what their next level is, what their next level can be, and if they stick with choir.
Our 9th member is on her way presently.
Okay,
So as soon as she gets here, we can like
have a quorum.
keep moving.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe let's start with the minutes. Can't vote on it, but did anybody see anything that needs to be adjusted? No typos? I know I sent it to Ogilvy to check before I printed it.
Well,
She's
I'm in the
always
bus
the
right
victim.
now.
So she checked it, but
I could say my name is spelled correctly everywhere this time.
uh-huh. Yeah, she did catch something, but
Thank you to Mr. Brown for taking notes his first time through. Nice job.
thank you. Okay.
I should have known you were lefty.
Yes.
That's all.
Any questions about what we did? No?
Oh yeah, we have the Donuts for Dads that we can talk about.
That was sweet.
That
That
was
was
very,
sweet.
very nice. A lot of, over 200 families, I think, showed up for our event. Then we had the entire half of the cafeteria, and plus it flowed into the center part of the cafeteria, and actually then I even looked down at one area, and there were dads and that were just down in the regular students with the kids in the cafeteria, so they were kind of everywhere, so it was really nice.
That's really cool. Okay, so we'll come back to that, but so far, we're okay. We'd like to add something on, but I guess we'll have to wait for that too. But we can at least hear about what the funding requests are, and maybe ask some questions and get some clarifications, and just try to keep moving along.
Well, I don't
So,
know why not. Do you want-
Dr. Patton?
I'm gonna give you these as a packet, they go, and then I have some more. They all go together, as a little group.
Just keep passing them until we get them around. Till everyone has one.
I think I've got enough, I don't.
Yeah,
know.
there's all one packet. She did.
They're all one packet. And then I got more packets waiting. The first thing we want to say is the platform itself. The teachers are using this a lot because of the type of stories the children are reading in it. It has an interest inventory where the first thing it does is it asks them, you know, what the things they're interested in. And then it has benchmarks where it goes in and does the Lexiles, and then it recommends books to them. For instance, it asks them, how much do you like sports? Now, correct me if I'm wrong. It'll say not at all to very much, and then it recommends things. And lots of our low readers and our ESE students love this. And it also has books in Spanish for the kids to find, and then it has high range books for our high readers. A lot of our children that are low readers love very practical topics like bugs, and the girls like cheerleading. And then there's horses and animals and any imaginable topic you can imagine that goes in there. And if you will look, right here, it's kind of small. That's how many hours the children have read. 1,300
After the
hours.
school.
Mhm.
This year.
This year, just this year. The kids are reading after school, they're reading in the morning before they get to school. The teachers, this is multidisciplinary. If you have a science class and you want to go in and study the weather, you can assign them a weather book. We've gone in and found extra topics because we've been talking about reform. They will go in and read about Malala, and you can also go in and find the standards and assign a project by standards. But these are the things that if you want to kind of peek through it, this was the quotation we received. Mr. Lundberg matched it for last year, even though the company was bought out. We went through and matched it from last year, so we have a $2,000, almost $2,100 savings. The kids can download the books. They can keep them if they don't have Wi-Fi, which most of them do, but if they don't. And they've read, after school, I've read quite a bit also, and on the weekends. The thing that I like about it, number one, is choice. Number two is the fact that they can read it at any time. I like the platform because it has 5 questions at the end, and the questions are very deep. The teachers are assigning this, a lot of them right after even I ready, because the kids like to go into my own. Let's go to my own, let's go to my own. And we kind of figure anything that keeps them reading is good. Do you have anything you would like to add?
Sure, a few things. I appreciate just that opportunity to do that. So, you know, a couple things that Dr. Patton already touched on, but just to kind of back up a little bit. I mean, what Mayan, quite frankly, does is literally puts over 6,000 books in everybody's backpack all the time. No check-in and check-out. Everybody has access 24/7. And as she mentioned, to deal with your equity issues at home, there is an ability to download and work offline. The device, whatever they're bringing, would control how many books could be downloaded to it. But they can do that, and then when they come back into Wi-Fi, all that data is captured. And so the program, just as an independent reading platform, just offers a lot of ways that you can maximize how to get the most out of it, because this is a solution that certainly is meeting their needs in a lot of ways of bringing that access to content. But you know, for RTI, for specific groups, she touched briefly on projects, which is now the ability to take all that access you have to content and create things that are tied to your curriculum. You can push out a reading task with multiple writing prompts, and there's lots of templates. So there's lots of ways that you could now take this access to content and infuse it to back up what you're teaching in the classroom, to become a very valuable resource for your teachers in that capacity.